Hey, what's up? Guess what? I want to tell you about charity work in Belize, alright? Not much people talk about it, but I want to tell you about the pros and cons of doing charity work in Belize. So, which one you want to hear first? The good news or the bad news? Let me see. The good news? Let's talk about the good news of doing charity work in Belize. Alright, Belize, as a country, we don't have much charity organizations. There are a few we are all familiar with. I don't want to call their names. However, charity work comes with a challenge, big challenge. And so we have been doing charity work since 2017. And since then till now, we have been seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we have also seen our charity organization, Ladyville Highlights. We have grown from Ladyville, where we started, to this big international brand that stretches across the length and breadth of Belize, and its influence is felt all over in the United States, as far as England, the UK, as far as Canada. And we had received call and support way as far as the North Pole and on the continent of Africa. We had received a call from a person who watches us all the way in Africa as well. So growing, yes, we're growing tremendously. We give God thanks for it. And I just want you guys to know what are the pros and cons of doing charity work here in Belize. And the first thing I can tell you is that doing charity work here in Belize, it's number one, very, very, very time consuming. What do I mean? I mean that if it's not something that you have a passion to do, if you don't have the interest, if you don't have the drive, then charity work is not for you. Time consuming because it takes commitment. There are times when we receive barrels and boxes and we have to sort them out. My wife and myself and the kids. And there are times we have volunteers who come over to assist us as well. And we sort these things out according to kids' clothes, baby clothes, women clothes, men clothes, and then we assign them to their specific barrel, so that whenever we issue out and distribute support, we know exactly where the baby clothes are, we know exactly where the kids' clothes are, or we know we have a specific barrel set aside for just footwear, or a specific barrel set aside for school supplies, medical supplies such as Pampers, underpads, diabetic injections, but they used to take the insulin, all right, test strips for those when we do have. So it is very, very, very time consuming. So if you're considering, hey, I want to do charity work, be prepared to be up 4 in the morning, sometimes 3 in the morning, sorting out these boxes, sorting out this stuff, because charity work is time consuming. 2, charity work, there are times we are out, we don't get home sometimes till late at night. Alright, sometimes we are called, we are already home and we are called, please come, it's an emergency, the person needs blood, and the only way we can somehow get the awareness that she needs blood is you guys come, do a live, and pop, pop, things happen, and the person receives the blood. Alright, so there are times we are out late at night in the homes of people, giving assistance, counseling people, because all of that is comprised of time. All right, so number one, I can tell you in Belize, for us as a charity organization, we can tell you that charity in Belize and doing what we do as Ladyville Highlights is time consuming. Number two, it will affect your emotional stability. Okay, so how do charity work affect your emotional stability, Albert? Boy, let me tell you, your emotional stability. When we do a story that's very, very touching and emotional, you guys see the story that we edit and that we cut and splice if we have to. There are times we send it raw when you do a live video, but there are some of the behind the scenes discussions and stuff that we don't show that will affect your emotional stability. All right, and especially if you're a person with a soft heart. I mean, I've been called and asked by my friends from California in Sacramento. He says, Albert, I'm worried about your emotional well-being. Because he says, but the stories makes him cry. The stories touch his heart. The stories, you know, they really, really move him to the core. And I believe they move others to the core. All right. And so your emotional stability, what we do to unload whenever we do stories that are very emotional, when we leave the home or the setting of that particular place where the story is done, we would normally retreat and we would go to a church where we can just sit for a good 20 minutes, myself and my wife, and we will just unload that emotional strain, that emotional stress, and give it to God. All right, we ask God, is no God, we're doing your work, and so God, take this and let something good come out of the story. Let these people receive the blessings that they need so that they can bounce back and they can have a story to tell about how wonderful God is. And so we don't take it on, we don't bring that home, we don't translate that into our home life or into our work life. All right, we take those loads of emotions and the tears. We see people cry, especially when it involves children. The other day we visited a baby that was 2 years old, suffering from cancer, and I think it was the following day the baby died. You know, those things have an emotional toll on you, take an emotional toll on you. All right, we were also with baby Jamie. Baby Jamie, we was following his story, doing his story for the past 3 years, and for those 3 years, baby Jamie's journey was a journey of Merida, Belize, home for a few days or a month or so, and then back to Merida and back again to Belize. And then the cancer would have him up some day good, some days bad, eventually until it take its toll and took the child, right? So emotionally these things will affect you, because if you have a close connection with the child, which I did, you know, because Jamie called me Bali, right? So to see my friend at the age of 7 just lying on that bed and the zest of life withdrawing from him slowly, that's not something that leaves you right away. All right, so number 2, if you are not prepared to handle high stress, high level stress and emotional turmoil that some of these stories will bring to your heart, then again, charity work in Belize is emotionally draining at times. We say that because it does happen to us, but we have found out that when we do a story that's very touching and it comes across to us as something that can emotionally mess us up, we straight to church. There are 2 churches that always have their doors open in Belize. Always. Most of the times. Holy Redeemer Church and Church of Mercy, I think the one by Belize, their doors are always open. Now, am I a Catholic? No, I'm not a Catholic. But that is a house dedicated to the commitment of prayer. Remember, Jesus says that my house shall be called a house of prayer. And so that's where we go, to God's house, and we take your story and we take that emotional baggage and we leave it to the man himself, and we let God take over. That is the reason why we have such high positive rates in our stories, because we don't just do stories, we do stories that will eventually will change people's lives. And in everything we do, we put God in it. Alright, so our second challenge in doing charity work in Belize is emotional stability. Let's talk about one of the pros of charity, doing charity in Belize. One of the good things about doing charity in Belize is that we get to make a difference in the lives of others and to help give them a better quality of life than where they were first. Alright? Our main goal is to improve the lives of suffering Belizeans throughout this country. And trust me, some of the things that we see and some of the people we come across, plenty people are suffering in this country. Young, old, middle age, and all that we want to do as a charity organization, Ladyville Highlights Foundation, is to come into the lives of these people and help bring them from one level to a higher level, and to give them a better quality of life that they can be able to enjoy being a good Belizean like everybody else. Alright? So we get the opportunity whereby we are able to see people in their present situations where they are, and then to see the joy on their face when they receive the assistance that they so much require, when they receive the help that they so much need. That is satisfying to know that we have done our part and we have made a difference in the life of somebody else. The other thing is we get to meet and have a good relationship with donors, the good heart of donors. And I must say, maximum respect to all donors who contribute to Ladyville Highlights. And you don't have to donate clothes, you don't have to donate footwear. There are donors who donate of their time. We call them volunteers. Alright? Donors who donate their time, they come, they assist us, they help us to pack, they help us to do giveaways when we go to villages. And we appreciate all our donors. Honestly, from the heart folks, we appreciate all our donors at home and abroad, especially the ones abroad. Alright, because we have donors in almost every state where a Belizean resides. Chicago, we have 2 sisters in Chicago who regularly donate to us clothing, and these are clothing with tags. Alright, these are footwears, some of them brand new. Alright, and other supplies like toothpaste, soap, whatever it is that they can find to send to us here in Belize, our donors send it to us. And we are happy when we can go to communities where people are struggling, where people don't have money to buy some of these things. Some of these things are considered the luxury in some of these villages here in Belize. Alright? But we take it to the people and we give it to them free of cost. One of the reasons why we do our lives when we do giveaways, because we want you to see that the items that you send to us, guys, from abroad, reach into the hands of persons who never had it, but you made it possible for them to have a brand new tennis. You made it possible for them to have a brand new shirt, a brand new pants, to have baby clothes for young girls who are first-time mothers. And so we thank you, donors at home and abroad, for your donations, because without your donations, without your items that you send to us, the people who are in need of help wouldn't have received the help. So donors, you are the backbone of what makes Ladyville Highlights what it is in Belize, to assist the needy, the struggling, and those persons who are direct beneficiaries from the items that you send. All right. So I can't mention every donor that they sent to us, but I can say we have a huge donor funds from Los Angeles. Big up all our donors in Los Angeles. Big up all the shipping agents in the US. All right, I can't mention all their names, it's too much to mention. Big up all the donors in Atlanta, Chicago, New York City, New Jersey, Utah, Texas. Our friend in Texas just came on board and she know the play. She is sending anything. As a matter of fact, we have stuff to pick up from her right now. From Texas at Spanish Lookout. All right, but again, without the donors, there would be no Ladyville Highlights. All right, so donors, salute to you, and we want you to know that we pray for you guys all the time. All right, I must say also that there are donors who not only donate clothing, tennis footwear, baby clothes, and other stuff, but there are donors who donate finance for gas, for our vehicle to be able to move around, to service and reach out to people who need the help. We have donors who, right now we are receiving Pampers from various donors. Your Pampers are greatly appreciated, guys, when you send us your Pampers. And then one of the irony is that there are donors who are struggling too. Yes, you know, some people would think that the donors are rich people will just crack back and yeah, send that to Mr. Albert. Yeah, send that to me, they will highlights. We had a donor, Shelly Harris from Chicago. Shelly Harris was an excellent donor. Unfortunately, even while she was battling dialysis, Shelly made sure she sent her donation. She sent her clothes. She would send a box. She would send a barrel of grocery items. Shelly gave and gave and gave and donated to Ladyville Highlights up until when her health got really bad and she eventually passed off. So to the family of Shelly Harris, her spouse that left behind, we want to say that we appreciated Miss Shelly for what she did to help the people of Belize back here while she was ailing over there in Chicago. Her heart was for Belize, to give back to the people of Belize. So big up Shelly. She's gone to rest now, but I hope that somebody would show her relatives this, that Ladyville Highlights appreciated her efforts to give back to her native country, Belize. All right. So we have several donors who have their own struggles going on. I won't call their names, all right, but they have their own struggles going on. They have their struggle with their children. They have their struggles with families. They have their struggles on their job place. I know of a donor in New York who was fighting a case in New York City, but she still donates to Ladyville Highlights. All right, so the little that you give goes a very long way, donors. We appreciate you. And guys, thank you. I don't know why you guys give. We don't call people and send a barrel for women, send a box to women. Nobody could say that Ladyville Highlights calling and tell them send box and barrel or send clothes or send. People see and they give based on the results that they see in our lives and our videos. How we do go to communities and we find the people then who would benefit the most with your item that you send. All right, so thank you, donors. You are number one. You are the backbone of what keeps Ladyville Highlights going, to be effective and to be able to continue to make a difference in the lives of others here in Belize.